It does. It's the black. It's
Put you in
clean line.
spirit. Put you in the spirit.
I'll move that up because now you're making it curious for me. How fast are we gonna do this? We're gonna see if Tim's.
7 to 8. Yep, and then executive session brief and out.
Oh, no, I don't, if there's anything, I don't see anything.
She said she didn't.
Well, the only thing close would be that,
You guys are all ready?
We know her, so she just didn't know what
grant
his answer
comes
was.
from,
And tell me.
Jim's still researching.
When did I say it was? What year?
Call the meeting to order, the Vermillion School Board. Sheila, will you take attendance?
Olson?
Here.
Here. Here.
Here. And in your information, we have some minutes to approve.
Motion to approve?
Second.
So Rachel and Jim. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. And any agenda changes?
No, I don't have any.
Okay. Anybody else see anything you expected to see? Okay. Need a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Doug and Rachel, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next on the agenda is the indication of any conflict of interest per the new law effective July 1st. Before I ask the members anything, Jim, I'll just ask you, do you have anything? I know you're waiting for an Attorney General opinion.
yeah, and I talked to Mark earlier today. He went to a meeting where they discussed this conflicts law and what it meant for boards and administrators. And apparently a letter was written by the Attorney General's office to, was it the Associated School Boards, in which they indicated that the proposed policy that the ASBSD has given to school districts is in compliance with the law, but they haven't given any opinion yet on any of the questions that the Associated School Boards asked the AG's office. I don't think there was any indication of whether a Attorney General's opinion would be forthcoming or not, and or if that letter is it. But my thinking, and I think Mark agrees, is give the AG's office a couple months to either issue an opinion or get word that they're not going to before we adopt our policy on it. We don't need a policy necessarily to comply with the law, so we can keep doing what we're doing on a meeting-to-meeting basis with this agenda item. And in the meantime, I think we will get a couple of proposed policies to the committee so they can be looking at them, and then contingent upon whatever the AG's office says, we could, or doesn't say, we can decide what we want to adopt.
Okay.
When we do adopt it, if we go with this continued item by item, or not item by item, meeting by meeting item on each agenda, we'll have to amend our meeting format policy to include this.
Okay. Sounds good. So hearing that, I'll just start at the end with you, Jim. Anything on the agenda tonight that poses a conflict for you? Rachel?
I don't believe so, no. Doesn't look like.
Doug?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. And I don't think tonight there's anything for myself either. So no conflicts tonight. And we don't need a motion to that effect or anything. It's just stated in the minutes.
Right.
That
I
we
think the minutes
did
will
that.
just, the board discussed conflicts disclosure regarding agenda items, and there were none disclosed.
Thank you.
I guess I have a clarification of that. My wife has subbed, and sub pay is coming up. I have no idea whether she will again in the future. but she's on the list.
Well, that would be a direct benefit then, so we'll have to go through the same process that we did last time with Tim. The remaining board members with that disclosure will have to consider whether that conflict is fair, reasonable, and not, and in the public interest, and if, and Doug can't participate in that consideration. So we'll need a determination from the board on that. You have to have a motion and a second for that.
I'll accept a motion to that effect. By Rachel?
I probably can't make the motion, so that really limits.
Jim seconds it, so that the motion is, it's that conflict is fair and reasonable, and forget the other word that you said, Jim.
And not against the public interest.
Not against public interest. So if we approve this motion, it means that Doug can partake in that vote.
I think so.
Okay. So all those in favor to that effect, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Okay, thank you. Oops. Next on the agenda is visitors to be heard. If there's anybody with us this evening that would have information you'd like us to hear, this is open format. 5-minute maximum to give us information. Do we have anybody who'd like to be recognized? All right, hearing no one, we'll move on. We have no unfinished business this evening, so we'll move into new business. The first new business item is approval of the revised Activities Director and Assistant Athletic Director job descriptions. Dr. Froke, do you want to preface that?
Sure, and board indicated an interest in seeing the athletic director position move to the title of activities director to be more encompassing and taking in not only athletics but also other activities such as music and drama. So working with the current activity or athletic leadership on that transition. These job descriptions that are before you were worked on with Mr. Huska and Mr. Drake, and I'll be the first to say that they could probably take a little more polish. So I'd certainly accept any comments that you would have. We'll consider this a first reading and upgrade them and bring them back for your consideration at next meeting. One of the things I guess we were wrestling with, the title of Assistant Athletic Director or Activity Director, we weren't quite sure because the middle school only has really the athletic part of it, so we left it as is, but the more I think about it, I think we should probably just title it Assistant Activities, if that's all right.
I think that would be prudent.
The director.
So do you have any other comments or anything you'd
Yes,
like?
I have one or two in their questions/comments. I can understand why the activities director requires administrative certification, but considering the way we pay and budget the assistant, I mean, we don't have a budget line to make that a full-time position, so why do they require anything more than teacher certification? And maybe there's a good reason for that. I just was curious.
I guess the only reason, Doug, is that the person who's in that position, Mr. Drake, has a principal certification, so that we just
Necessary.
included that. But I think your point is well taken, that since it's not necessary, we don't need to have that, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess, and then the second one is the duties, and, I mean, they do have some assignment of middle school events, but I guess I was curious as to why both positions didn't consult with high school and middle school principals, since they seem to, at least I know in practice that Mr. Drake interacts with both schools. It's not like one is solely 6, 7, 8, the other's 9, 12.
Sure. So, yeah, that's a good point. So what you're indicating is that you'd like to see a consultation with both high school and middle school principal by both.
Well, I guess maybe I'll back up. The question is that the way they're currently working?
Probably not.
Okay, so Mr. Drake handles all the middle school coaching assignments and evaluations?
Well, no, it would be, Jason oversees it, and Jay also assists. The coaches, the head coaches do the evaluating of the 7th and 8th grade coaches now.
Okay, and yeah, then there's a lot more work that needs to be done on this one anyway, because I mean, the first skills and duties is select, assign, and evaluate all middle school activity personnel. And if that's not happening, we either need to say this happens or we should change the policy.
Right, and we did, the idea is for that to take place that way.
Okay,
The change, since he'll be specifically identified as in charge of the middle school
Okay.
now.
okay, then that's good. I just
Yeah.
want to make sure everyone's aware of that this is
Yeah,
changing,
absolutely.
not just aligning with what we do.
Right, it is a change.
Okay,
Then there's a line in there, I don't remember exactly where it is, but it talks about scheduling of events, and it assists in non-athletic events. And I think if we specify that they control that scheduling as well, rather than just assisting.
And where is that, Tim?
I think on the activities director, A4.
And it should be, and scheduling.
Scheduling of
Yeah.
all events,
All
I
events.
guess.
Yeah, good, thank you. Do you see any other improvements?
I mean, there's some things that I think we need to discuss at a higher level with regard to the ticket sales and how those funds are now handled, whether they all go into, that's going to be a can of worms, but, I mean, I say that because it says arrange and accommodate, ticket sales, fundraising events for the athletic program, but now that becomes all activities.
It doesn't go towards each.
Right, and I don't know how that works right now.
So we should add that to agenda items when we get there.
Probably, yes.
Make a note.
We'll take a look at that, okay? All right. Yeah.
What'd you say, Rachel?
For a future agenda item, we can talk about
Gotcha.
when we get down there for tickets. Ticket
Okay.
sales are-
Good idea. Okay. So as you peruse that further, if you have any input, email Dr. Crowe, please.
Yeah, and as you read it further, if you have anything else, and we can still change things at the next meeting too, if you see anything. But as I understand it from your thinking, you want one person in charge of the high school and one person in charge of the middle school. How we should design this.
Yeah. And they back each other up.
Yeah, right,
Right,
yes,
they support
good
each other.
point. Yeah. Because that'll happen from time to time, where one will have to step in, for example, Mr. Drake may be teaching in a class and Mr. Huska will receive a call that, say, a 7th and 8th grade track meet has been canceled. So then Jason then would step in and get that communication out.
Okay. Next item, we have 50, oh, yes, I'm sorry. Thanks, Sheila. Need a motion to approve first reading of the revised descriptions for activities director and assistant activities director.
Make the motion.
Jim
Second?
and Doug. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We have 50 student desk and chair combinations to declare as surplus property. They're from the elementary and middle schools.
Motion to declare property surplus?
Doug?
Can I talk? Can we, do they have a city one coming up again? Like, can we hold on to them until, how often does the city do their surpluses? Like once a year?
Twice, actually.
Oh, but are we gonna do that? Are we gonna advertise for these 50 chairs or put them on the
Do,
side of the road?
Do your second, and then we can have a discussion about how we dispose of them.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, we have a second by Rachel. Now, how would you like to dispose of the desks if this motion passes?
I prefer not to spend a bunch of money on advertising for 50 chairs that we're probably gonna give away for free.
I know an organization, give them to them, we'll get rid of them real quick,
Deal.
or trade.
Do we have to determine that, or
No, we don't.
that's up to you?
If you're
They
thinking the
usually-
boosters, it should go through the foundation first, like.
Go to the foundation if you want. I don't-
Like we did with the lockers?
Nobody, I don't know.
And was that part of the motion to
Last time
pass
they released
control
their
to them?
value was like
Zero,
zero.
just give them away.
Let
Yeah.
them surplus and
Foundation can have
transfer
them,
'em
school can have
to
them.
the,
No, I mean, you can.
Listen up, guys.
to the public school foundation to be disposed of. And then we'll cite that statute, I think it's 6-5-3. I can't remember it right now, but that's the statute we've been using.
So we need to amend our motion if you'd like to move those through to the foundation.
I just don't wanna pay for a bunch of money advertising stuff that we'll probably give away at no value. You wanna do a curb check or?
I think, yeah, if we've determined they have no value, I don't want to spend any money to get rid of them. And I think
So
when things
one-
have value, we forward them to a public auction. If they don't,
So we should have the finance committee look at them first to see what their value is.
Yep.
And then if they are at a no value, maybe with all these upcoming open houses and people coming through the schools, maybe we could just put a free sign at them at the schools?
Sure, yeah, we'll get together with the finance committee then.
There you go, because they're probably zero value.
Do we, can we do that before Monday night's open houses?
Sure,
every new kindergartner takes a desk home. Oh, that's all
Good
that-
Yeah,
idea.
yeah,
Okay.
new rule.
Okay. This motion,
It stays the same.
okay, motion to stay the same. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Finance Committee.
Perfect.
Sheila, you are next. You have, need our approval on supplemental budget.
Right, when we do the regular budget motion, the grants are not included, so I'd ask that you approve these so that we can just get them into the budget.
See that in your packet on page 18. 3 pages worth. Okay,
Make a motion to supplement the 2016-2017 school budget with the following grants listed.
Have a motion?
Second?
Second by Doug. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Great to see the Bush grant in there as well.
It is. And that's great timing.
That means it's official.
Mrs. Galvin, would you care to? Great. Do you want to come talk to us about the Bush grant?
What's next right there? I didn't even realize.
Yeah, so you pick up the microphone. Thank you.
All right, just basically, we did receive an email this week, and they're not going to do a big announcement, so they said that we could at a local level. And kind of the gist of it is it's called a strength-based professional development school. And last winter, Kim and I went out to Denver with the university through the Bush Foundation to look at model professional development schools. And basically what a professional development school is a university and a school entity working together. So we'll have some guidelines on how we can work together. The position that we're bringing aboard will basically do asset mapping. So in visiting with our staff, what do you need? And then finding those resources at the university. And then also putting our teacher leaders at the university doing classes and whatnot. So we'll also work with the Gallup Strength Finder. And we will take a pot of students that are below grade level with reading, and then we will give them the Strength Finder to build up their efficacy of believing in themselves. And then they have a new tool, Parent Strength Finder. So we'll offer to do parent classes for the parents to also find out what talents they have as a parent. So the whole gist of it also is to leverage the whole intent and purpose of this money was to put the school behind what is it that new teacher candidates need to be successful. The Bush Foundation felt like they were going first and having the universities say, the university's telling schools this is what teacher candidates do, and so this is a time for the school setting to say, hey, we know how to help these teacher candidates. So we have a model where we're going to set up, first of all, when the student teacher candidates come, we'll have a panel of experts, a reading expert, a math expert, a writing expert, a behavior management expert, and we'll actually show teacher candidates how to answer those questions. How do you talk about reading? And then the experts will talk. And then we have a feedback form that then we will introduce interviews to these candidates, and then we'll give them feedback on how they do. They'll have an opportunity to build their pedagogy in the classroom, plus see how master teachers do it. So it's a kind of a unique plan, but I think it's going to be very beneficial to kids, parents, the community, and really, like I said, the university just has so many assets that we're going to fold in. So that's what it's all about. And
it's every building, any grade level.
Really, what it is right now, the funding that we have right now is at Jolly. We're obligated with the money to get, we're obligated right now to get all of the objectives of the grant through Jolly. And then once we kind of get our feet on the ground. So say to start off with, Kim has a couple student teachers, so they'll be invited to the interviews, and we'll kind of do that feedback part. But that's kind of what the money's geared towards right now, Tim. And I think there's some pieces that we just have to quote and get established, and once we do, we'll fold those out.
So would that be in year 2 of the grant, you think? Or?
More than likely, yeah. And we'll go as fast as we possibly can. But right now, like I said, we'll just kind of get our feet wet with, getting some of these pieces set up.
And if we have any mentoring needs in SPED or title,
Absolutely.
it's applicable.
Absolutely. Yeah. So.
Thanks for doing the grant.
Thank you.
That's a big shot.
It was brutal. It was due May 19th, the last week of school. So that's, but there was a lot of support around the table too, and the teachers are really excited, and so I think it'll be good for our district.
I know you probably have to do a lot of feedback to prove out the grant or prove you meet the objectives. So I guess for the board, we'd probably like to see that and see,
Right.
at the end of the year, who all was able to be touched and all those things too. I don't
we're-
want to duplicate work for you, but if you
No.
have to do it anyhow.
Actually, a big part of this is marketing and sustainability. And so we're hoping to maybe even just have something, I got to talk to Jason, but to see if we can do something live on the internet too, just on how this develops and grows, so.
It was a 2-year or 3-year? 2.
So, thank you for your support.
Yeah, thank you. And so, do we need a motion to approve that budget separately, or that's part of the overall grants that we just approved? Okay, all right. So next item on the agenda is approval or discussion at least of substitute teacher pay. Dr. Froke, you have gathered some information for us.
Yes, and we'd like to keep an eye on that substitute pay so we can stay in the market with the region, so to speak. And so I just got on the phone the other day to see where we were at, and it seems like the pay ranges from $90 to $120 for the upcoming year. Elk Point will be at 90 next year, and the high level at Yankton will be at 120, and I think Dakota Valley would be at 100. Beersford, I believe they told me 100, if I'm not mistaken, and we've been at 90 for a couple years at least. It's quite a chore to find adequate number of substitute teachers, so I think it's important that we stay in the market, and I believe that market would be $95 to $100 a day for a substitute. So given that, I'll pass it back to you again to see what you want to do there.
I'll make a recommendation, we go to $100 a day.
Motion by Jim,
Second?
second by Rachel. It has been a challenge, we hear about it at each of these meetings and wherever we happen to be at, so I think it's a good thing. First and a second, all those in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay, with three, motion passes with the one how do you say that? Abstention. Thank you.
Can't do it either this time.
Okay. We have some district personnel to approve. Before we go through this list, Mrs. Johnson is here to give us some information about special education behavioralist and family support type position.
First, I want to interrupt this meeting with a commercial message for our new Canada preschool logo. You see a van around town with this magic logo on it, and there you go. So
Very nice.
there's
But
your
if we hold
commercial.
it up on there, they might zoom in for you, maybe. No.
So thank you for allowing me to interrupt with that. The new position that is being presented tonight is a .6 FTE special education position that's really a behavior interventionist, but it also has a component that's a family outreach component. This position, I think, I'm most excited about this opportunity because it is responsive to the needs assessment from our strategic planning day. It directly addresses the priorities that came out of that day. It would have that bridge to support homes and families, primarily students that have special needs in the area of behavior. But it's going to really evolve to be a unique prototype. There is really no other model quite like this. So I think that's exciting as well, us being really on the forefront of a new type of position to help better meet the needs of some of our families. It will enable us to be more proactive with early intervention, down as far as even our early childhood special education families and students. It will train our hire to be an expert in behavior intervention and assist with functional behavior assessments and help in some of those positive behavior plans. collecting data, analyzing the effectiveness of the strategies, but most importantly, I think collaborating with that new school nurse and that family outreach piece. If truancy is one of the factors that is the challenge for a particular child and home, this person could go into the homes, do home visits, help work with the families to help correct some of those problems and support them in some proactive home plans and support them in implementing things. It could involve coaching and mentoring with the families. It could involve some personal parenting classes. We've purchased some new Love and Logic parenting resources that could be used as one of the tools for that. I just think it's going to be a program that's really responsive to reaching out as early as possible and helping build more successful student academics for some of our most challenged students. But if you have any questions about it, I'd be happy to answer them.
Position based out of Austin.
Primarily,
Primarily,
but
but not
accessible
limited
to
to-
others. Right.
Okay.
Right.
Very good.
Does it sound like you have the job description written already?
I do kind of, yes, informally so. But as I said, it will evolve, so I don't want it to be too tight of a job description to limit the person to a need that might arise.
How long has she been with us, Stacy?
For 1 year, yes, as guidance counselor at Austin.
She was a guidance counselor in Marshall.
Correct. Minnesota. Correct.
I think it sounds worth a try.
Okay. Any other questions for Mrs. Johnson? Okay. We will thank you for the information.
Thank you for your support of implementing a new position geared at helping our families. I appreciate it.
Board members, just one more thing. There's another person associated with this program, the driver, right? Oh, no, it's a preschool.
Preschool.
Yeah, so why don't you mention
Correct.
that?
Correct. And I also have a approval of, or my recommendation, I'm sorry, for a preschool transportation van driver. I don't know if you have my notes on the applicant, but she comes with some advanced training that is current from a previous employment. So
Yes, and you're talking about certification there in some areas.
she's certified in first aid CPR, behavior interventions, an HIV protection and confidentiality class, which is from out of state, and all of those are current. She worked at a camp at St. Joseph's Indian School this summer, so the background check from that program can come forward for us since it was in state. So then there's not the lapse either of having to wait for the background check. Otherwise, I was going to be the preschool bus driver at first, which I was happy to do.
Also, didn't you say a booster seat?
Yes, booster car seats. And it's a school van, caravan, not the big white van, unless numbers become so that would necessitate that.
So what's the first day for preschool?
They have scheduled orientations on the Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday's their first full day.
Okay.
So watch for the bus. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. So let's do certified staff first. You have before you two individuals, recommendations, Carrie Munson for the instructional coordinator that Mrs. Galvin talked about, and Stacy Badkey as a special education behavioralist and family support, the position that Mrs. Johnson described, and then she would continue on with the counseling position as well. So altogether, she would be a 1.0. So take a motion to approve those two.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Then also before you, you have Jason Plitzwit, alternative school paraprofessional. John Marcourt, a part-time middle school custodian. Zachary Stewart, part-time middle school custodian. Kyle Weiss, 7th grade football coach. And Don Abernathy, the driver that Mrs. Johnson just spoke of. Have all those before you and take a motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
Doug?
Second.
Rachel, second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes. Did we cover all the staff that we needed to cover?
Yes, I think so. Yes, Tim, we did. Except, did we get Kyle Weiss in there?
We did.
Okay. And Glenn, I think you're,
Okay.
thank you.
Then we have BSA personnel for your approval. And let me find that list. We have them up before us. Kate Vitor, Brenna Fitzsimmons, Connor DeBoer, Caitlin Poss, Austin Backer, Kayla Mulheron, Shelby Winter, Mackenzie Vandermolen, and Bonnie Soranzo. And those are for this next, at least semester for sure, we hope. Okay, take a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Doug? And Jim. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes. And we have one resignation of classified staff. Valerie Punt, nighttime custodian at the high school, is relocating out of town. We need a motion to accept that resignation.
Motion to approve.
Rachel? And Jim? Motion passes. No, we need to vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Now the motion passes. We have a couple open enrollment applications, one in your packet and one that Dr. Froke shared tonight. Same family, joining us from Elk Point District.
Motion to approve.
Rachel? Jim? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion passes. And then, Dr. Froke, do you want to speak to the student reassignment agreement?
Yes, thank you. You have assigned a student based on the guardian's request to Akron Westfield School the last perhaps 4 or 5 years, and seems to be working well for the student and for the schools, both here and Akron Westfield. The way we've been handling this is that we pay the per student amount that we get from peer, we pay to Akron Westfield, and the guardian picks up the difference. So theoretically, there's no loss to us. We get the per student amount. It flows through our books and goes to Akron Westfield. And with the school funding situation just a little different than what it has been before, the peer told us that you can figure out about $5,400 per student, roughly, that we will receive. So do you have any questions at all on that?
So that student counts in our census then?
Yes, yes. And it's because we're paying.
Motion to approve.
Motion,
Did the guardian pay, or assign, rather?
And that I should have mentioned. We do not have a signature from the guardian nor the Akron Westfield School District as of yet. Everybody wants this to take place, but I would ask that you make it contingent upon their signatures.
Motion to approve contingent on the signatures needed.
Second.
Rachel and Jim. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Takes us to our reports. Dr. Froke, you're first.
Thank you. We've had a lot going on this summer. Maintenance staff have been working very hard, and if you've been watching the bills closely, you'll see a lot of bills for paint, and so they've painted a lot of area this summer in all the schools, and so I really appreciate the work they've done. I should note too that Clint Tucker did a nice job on those high school doors and refurbishing those. It just upgraded the hallways a little more, and that was tough work. He's short-staffed, and he was able to get that job done, and it looks nice. And he, we're going to pull him back in the schools for a couple days yet. Over at the middle school, we have some painting we want done, and so he'll work over at the middle school yet. Place is looking good. Locker rooms, invite you to stop over. There's just no way to describe the difference. They're just very, very nice. And lockers are going in now today and tomorrow. And with that red against that light gray, that'll make things really pop. So I don't know. Jim, you were over there in the locker room. You have any comments there at all? Pardon? Yeah.
Looks nice. Good upgrade.
When you go to the Booster Bash on Friday the 19th, you can take a look at the locker rooms.
They're gonna say, wow,
Wow, great. And hopefully everybody can get in and look at them on that date,
hopefully.
hopefully.
My son
Dr.
commented
Croker.
that he's worried he'll have to wait in line to shower.
Oh.
Just use them now.
The air quality seemed very good.
Yeah, we have individual stalls for the showers, and that's something a little different for the.
I think we need a publicity photo of Rachel doing her hair in front of the mirror and the counter she
Perfect
requested.
with my blow dryer, yeah.
Be there tomorrow, 9?
So the target date was the 15th for them to complete their work with the locker rooms, and they will make that, with the exception, I would say, of the boys' coaches' office area. They have the bathroom to work on yet, and also some flooring. But they think that will be about the only thing that will be holding them up. The Austin HVAC system is complete, and there was mention at last meeting, I believe, where there was a sharp edge on a piece of equipment. We're in the process of getting that taken care of. And then the front doors at Austin and Jolly were replaced, and Jolly doors were painted, and I know Clint plans to come by and get the Austin doors painted here soon as well. Carpet installation is done, and that really made things look nice in a lot of areas. One of the janitors said we replaced carpeting that has been there longer than he has, and he's been there 26 years, so
Last 30 years.
a change in that area. The gym floor, the auxiliary gym floor is all done. Also looks very nice, and it's all level. And so those are the main things that have been done this summer. So.
What's going on with that lawsuit from our insurance company?
Yeah, and I haven't heard anything at all.
Have we asked them if we have any say in that, or if we have any input into whether they should pursue it?
I can do that.
Okay.
I know initially we indicated that they should have communicated with us on that. But I'll follow up and let you know what I
Okay.
hear. Okay. So that's my report, Tim.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Froak. Sheila, you have some reports for us?
I don't.
You don't? Well, good. Thank you. I have an update for you on the staff picnic. The school board has invited all staff to a picnic on Tuesday, August 16th at West Shelter at Barstow Park. And I know Doug, you'll be out of town unfortunately, but hope we can all make it there, as well as hopefully a lot of the staff, their significant other and children, and everybody. So it'll be picnic fair and some games, children's games, some snow cones or popcorn or something for dessert like that. So just a week away, so.
What
just
time
like
does
the
that
of
start
school.
again? Sorry.
5:30.
5:30.
Any questions for that? Okay. Anybody else have any reports that we've forgotten about?
I would like to add how I went to the Jolly Award on Thursday, so congratulations to
Please.
Sue and the USD basketball teams for that award. But I also wanted to highlight a few things on what Dr. Dennis Dugard talked about. One thing was congratulating South Dakota on the dual credit, the amount of schools that are using dual credit, but that we have some work to do on the intermediate, I don't know how. So like when students go to college and they aren't quite ready for the higher math and English classes, they go in the intermediate class at USD, I think we call it 091 or whatever, and it's, of course, it costs money and it's not credit bearing. So there's some courses that they've made available at the high school level that students can take based upon, I think it's after maybe their ACT score, which would at that point say, you know, you need to do a math placement, and there's some work that they can do to help them alleviate having to take those non-credit bearing classes in college. So that was something he wanted to have the schools work on. And then the third one was the amount of meth users for drug utilization in South Dakota. So really trying to see what they can do to cut down on meth utilization. So there's some education I think that they'll be pushing out to the schools this fall, I believe. So it was very good conference and great luncheon. It was great to have a couple of the coyotes there to support the award and some of the students. So it was good. And Sheila, that's right, 30 years of employment, I believe, right? With the, I can't remember that acronym, S something. So, that's right. Thank you.
Congratulations to all award winners.
Yes.
Okay. Now, Sheila, you do have some fund reports for us. All right.
Beginning on page 34 is the business manager's report. And unless you have questions, July tends to be a calmer month, getting done with one year and starting a new year. Following that is the cash balance comparison. Again, just a comparison to the previous 4 years, so that you can, 5 years, so that you can see how the cash is trending. And then the same thing for the taxes. And the taxes are pretty close to being right on target compared to last year. After that, the claims do begin on page 38. And if you have any questions, I'll sure do my best to answer them.
I just had one question. For BSA, do they always utilize local sources for snacks and breakfasts, or can Lunchtime Solutions provide that for BSA?
During the summer, I think they don't have to comply with the new regulations, but during the school year, they do if they serve within 30 minutes following the end of the day. If they serve after 30 minutes following the close of the day, then they don't have to follow the rules. So they've done it both ways.
I did try at the conference too, some really great ice cream that was compliant with the regulations. I might have to recommend that at the next food advisory. It's like a rainbow sherbet. Mm-hmm.
Kind
Whole wheat?
Kind of
I
like
mean,
that, do you?
It was good. They had a whole selection, so. I thought that was great. I was just curious on that. Thank you, Sheila.
Sheila, there's one bill, and I can't find it again on the list, but it was to NetChem or something like that, NetChemian, for talented licenses.
Okay, and that is the new software for the employment applications that
The online.
Yep. that
Okay.
would allow people to apply online, and Dr. Folk may know more about that, but we're trying to get that up and running.
Okay.
It's online application, and we started last year with training for Cindy. And so I guess that's about all I have to tell you, rather than the paper resumes. We'd like to have an online approach there, and that's where schools are going and kind of what applicants are looking for.
And one more. I'm curious about the time clock updates. Is there anything like procedure-wise that change, or is it just a software update that makes life easier if it breaks?
Primarily just a software update. When that software was initially purchased, we did not go with paying the service every year. Jason Galt has asked us to update that software, and then also obtain support for him if anything were to go wrong. So, new version.
But no training for staff? What staff sees is the same?
Absolutely.
Got it.
And minor changes for Cindy, even.
Any other claims questions?
It's not really a claims question, but I've been watching for 2 years now the Austin, Jolly, and middle school student council funds. They're all at $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. I don't know why. I mean, they're apparently not doing anything with it. I don't know where the money comes from. So it's really not it's really, I guess, to say, let those student councils know they have some money and maybe they have some projects that can benefit their schools.
Or give it to the prom? No,
Wait till your kids get older, Rachel.
I'm joking.
Okay, if no other questions, we need a motion to approve claims.
So moved.
Second.
Doug and Rachel, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Brings us to future agenda items, things that you guys would like on the next agenda.
I have one small one, and it probably has to go to the policy committee first. And that is, it's policy AFH. It's administrative evaluations. I think we need to add a date that those should be completed so that we have them in time to do contract renewal. So the policy committee can determine what that should be. But right now, it just says annually. And I think that would apply to us too, that we need to then do the superintendent's evaluation in time that it can be considered for things like raises and all of that.
Okay.
The ticket sales or ticket funds or ticket allocation?
Yeah, I think that's really just an inquiry at first. I find out what happens or how we manage it.
Do you want it to come to an agenda, or do you want to assign it to a committee?
To the finance committee.
Okay.
I'm going to assign lots to finance now that I'm not on it.
Okay, so if we have the finance committee understand the process of all the activities, money, athletic and fine arts activities, and understand the flow of that. Okay.
Another one was maybe at the next, or when it's available, to have them do a summary of the BSA summer program and the utilization, and just any feedbacks of how the summer went. And then Sheila, too, to give maybe a summer report for the food program. I know we have a guarantee 3-year contract. Is that what it was? But just a quick 2-minute update on how the summer went. for volume or utilization?
That week of heat hurt us.
You know, and yeah, I was there a couple times, and it is a little different, or challenging when it's not an air conditioning building. But I understand the location perk. Maybe we can have it at the pool next year when it's all redone.
A picnic every day.
And go on the lazy river.
Got to wait an hour.
Eat rainbow ice cream with it.
Anybody think anything else? Any requests? Dr. Froke, I'm sorry, I'm going to back up the one thing, and I don't know if you have the information tonight or not, but there were two of our high school teachers that we worked cooperatively with last year to help them achieve their teaching certificate.
Oh, yes, and, yes, and they have, they have reached their
So
certification.
they're fully
They'll
certified,
be fully certified.
met all the requirements. Okay.
Yeah,
And that remind me, it was chemistry
in Spanish.
and Spanish.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Do we know of any, I know we assigned duty to the Finance Committee meeting. Do you guys have any questions, or are you?
Policy one, too.
Yeah, and we have the policy one then for AFH, that, is that
I hope I
Shannon
got
and
those
myself?
selected.
Yeah, it's policy. And so we do, school year starting, and so our work starts a little more in earnest too. So let's nail down some committee date meetings and get cracking on things so that we do have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of activities and job description things to have completed prior to January 1st.
Right.
So that's a big goal. We need to stay to it. Future board meetings, next one will be held here at the Al Newharth Center, September 12th. In October, Monday, October 10th is a holiday, so in October, that meeting will be on Tuesday night, the 11th, just as a FYI. I will accept a motion to adjourn to executive session.
Motion to enter executive session for personnel.
Second.
Doug and Rachel, all those in favor say aye.
Excuse me.
Aye. Motion passes.